You're sitting at your kitchen table on a Sunday night, laptop open to Zillow, while your partner reads mortgage pre approval documents out loud. You combined make $155,000 a year. The pre approval letter says you qualify for $620,000. Every house in that range looks exactly like the apartment you're already renting, except now it comes with a $4,200 monthly payment. Your partner looks up and asks, "Are we doing something wrong? We make good money." You don't have an answer. Sound familiar? You're in the top 20% of American households by income, and you still feel poor looking at housing. You did everything right. Two college degrees, two stable jobs, two incomes pooled together like you were promised would create abundance. Instead, you're discovering that having two incomes didn't double your opportunity. It just made you eligible for debt that requires two incomes forever. I'm going to show you the complete math of why dual incomes can't afford housing anymore. Not because you're bad with money, but because housing prices rose specifically to consume dual incomes. We'll calculate exactly what that 155,000 actually buys you. Reveal what happened when dual income households became the norm rather than the advantage. And I'll give you permission to see that walking away might be the smartest financial decision you ever make. Let's start with what $155,000 actually means after the government takes its share. You're not bringing home 155,000. You're bringing home about 118,000 after federal taxes, state taxes, and FICA. That's $9,833 monthly. The traditional mortgage lending rule says you can spend 28% of your gross income on housing. That gives you a monthly housing budget of $2,753. In today's market with current interest rates, that's approximately a $460,000 purchase price. Now let me show you what $460,000 actually gets you in markets where $155,000 jobs exist. In Seattle, you're looking at an 1,100 square foot condo with a 45-minute commute each way. In Austin, maybe a 1,200 square foot townhouse in a school district you're not excited about. In Denver, a 1,000 square foot condo with a $400 monthly HOA fee. But here's where it gets interesting. That same inflation adjusted income in 1995 bought you a 2,200 square foot single family home with a 15-minute commute and excellent schools. You're not getting a worse deal. You're getting 60% of the house for 80% more commute time. You're paying the same percentage of your income for a fundamentally different product. But let's be honest about what people actually do. Nobody stays at 460,000 when they're approved for 620,000. You stretch to 510,000 because that's what median homes cost in your market, and you tell yourself you'll make it work. So let me show you what that actually costs every single month. Your mortgage payment at 6.5% with 10% down is $3,415. Property tax adds $765. Insurance is $245. HOA fees are $280. Utilities run $320. And you need to reserve 1% annually for maintenance, that's $425 monthly. Your total housing cost is $5,450. But we're just getting started. Because here's what nobody tells you about dual incomes. They come with dual costs. You need two car payments because you both commute to opposite sides of the city where your jobs exist. That's $850 combined. Two car insurance policies add $280. Childcare for one kid is $1,800 because neither of you can stay home. Apars, you're paying two health insurance premiums because you can't risk losing coverage if one job disappears. That's $450 after employer contributions. Gas for two commutes is $320 monthly. Work wardrobes, lunches, and parking add another $400. Let me add this up for you. Your monthly cash requirement is $9,550 before you've bought groceries, paid student loans, or saved anything for retirement. Odds, you're bringing home $9,833. That leaves you $283. Look at that number. Really look at it. You make $155,000 a year, and you have $283 monthly for everything else in life. Now let me show you what these numbers actually look like in real life. Meet Marcus and Jessica Johnson, both 34 years old. Combined income of $158,000. He's a senior analyst making $87,000. She's a project manager at $71,000. They're doing everything right. They bought in 2023 for 515,000 at 6.75%. They could only put 5% down because they couldn't save faster than prices were rising. Here's their actual monthly budget. Mortgage, tax, and insurance is $3,680. PMI, because of that low down payment, adds 235. HOA fees are 295. They have two car payments totaling $890 because both their old cars died within months of each other and they needed reliable transportation immediately. Childcare for their 6-year-old is $1,950. Student loans are $615 monthly. Health insurance premiums are $425. Gas is $340. Odd car insurance is $265. Phone bills are $140. Internet is $85. Utilities are $345. Groceries are $800. Their dog costs $120 monthly. Work expenses like parking and lunches are $380. The total is $10,565. Their after-tax income is $9,950. They're running a $615 monthly deficit. So how do they cover it? Credit cards. They're carrying $8,400 in credit card debt and it's climbing. Marcus contributed zero to his 401k last year because they couldn't afford the contribution. Their check engine light has been on for 5 months. They're making minimum payments on $3,200 in medical debt from their son's ER visit last year. Here's what that actually feels like day to day. It feels like Jessica crying in the Target parking lot because their debit card declined for $47 of groceries. It feels like Marcus telling his manager he can't attend the conference that would advance his career because they can't cover the hotel cost. It feels like their 6-year-old asking why they never go on vacation anymore. It feels like ignoring that check engine light because an $800 repair might as well be $8,000. This isn't dysfunction. This is two professional people with college degrees and good jobs trapped in math that doesn't work. But here's the part that should make you angry. This wasn't an accident. Housing prices didn't just happen to rise, they rose specifically to consume dual incomes because the entire financing system evolved to capture them. In 1970, only 25% of married households had two full-time incomes. Banks underwrote mortgages based on one salary. They'd discount the second income or ignore it entirely. Housing prices reflected one-income affordability. Then dual-income households became common. By 2000, 63% of married couples both worked full-time. Mortgage lending evolved right alongside. Banks noticed dual-income households could qualify for larger loans. They stopped discounting that second income. They started counting both incomes fully. Mortgage-to-income ratios expanded from 2.5 times income to 4 times income. And here's the critical part. Housing prices didn't respond to supply and demand. They responded to financing capacity. Sellers discovered buyers could pay more, so they charged more. The market efficiently consumed every dollar dual incomes made available. The advantage disappeared. What used to differentiate you, having two incomes instead of one, became the baseline. Everyone has two incomes now. Housing prices rose to match the new normal. Now you need two incomes just to qualify for what one income bought your parents. And here's where the trap closes completely. You can't reduce to one income because the mortgage requires both. You can't move somewhere cheaper because your specialized jobs only exist in expensive cities. You can't save for emergencies because everything goes to fixed costs. You optimized for maximum approved debt, not financial resilience. Having two incomes didn't make you twice as rich. It made you eligible for debt that requires two incomes to service forever. Now let's talk about who profits from keeping you in this trap. Your real estate agent earns commission based on price, not your financial health. They profit when you stretch. The more you pay, the more they make. Your mortgage broker earns more on larger loans and often receives yield spread premiums for steering you to higher interest rates. And home builders lobbied for dual income underwriting standards because it expanded their addressable market. Banks securitize your mortgage and sell the risk to investors, so they don't care if you struggle for 30 years as long as you don't default in the first few years. Financial media celebrates home ownership relentlessly because their advertisers are mortgage companies, real estate brokerages, and home improvement retailers. The entire industry benefits from you believing you must buy regardless of the math. And it's not just the industry, the cultural narrative enforces compliance too. You see articles calling millennials entitled for wanting what boomers had. Your parents ask when you'll settle down and buy. Social media feeds full of people celebrating house purchases without showing the credit card debt accumulating behind closed doors. Everyone uses the phrase starter home like you should accept inadequacy now and upgrade later, which means taking on even more debt. Every single participant in this system profits from your compliance except you. So let me give you a number you need to hear, even if it makes you uncomfortable. If your household makes under $130,000 in a major metro, you cannot afford median priced housing. Not, it'll be tight. You cannot afford it while maintaining any financial resilience. Banks will approve you. They'll happily loan you money that guarantees struggle. But approval isn't affordability. Real affordability means housing at 25% of your net income, not gross. It means maintaining a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. It means saving 15% for retirement. It means no monthly deficit requiring credit cards or loan deferments. Let me show you what that actually requires. In Seattle, you need $185,000 household income for median housing. In Austin, $165,000. In Denver, $175,000. And those numbers assume no student loans, no childcare costs, no medical debt. Add any of those variables and the requirement jumps 20 to 30% higher. Here's the uncomfortable reality. When maybe 75% of dual income households cannot afford median housing in their job markets using actual financial planning standards. That pre approval letter is lying to you. It's telling you what debt you can service, not what life you can sustain. Let me give you permission to do something radical. You can choose not to play this game. Renting while making $155,000 isn't failure. It's financial intelligence. And you're paying $2,400 for flexibility instead of $5,450 for trapped illiquidity. Yes, you're missing out on appreciation, but you're also avoiding maintenance disasters, property tax increases, HOA special assessments, and the cost of selling when life changes. You have $3,000 monthly that homeowners spend on ownership costs. You can deploy that strategically. You can build an emergency fund. You can invest in index funds. To take a better job in another city, to take a better job in another city without selling costs and timing risk. The ability to withstand job loss without foreclosure. The ability to pivot when your industry changes. You have other paths. Rent and invest the difference in diversified assets. Move to a genuinely affordable market. Yes, leaving friends and family is hard, but is it harder than financial drowning? Buy significantly below your approval amount. Target 25% of net income for total housing costs. Or rent forever and build wealth differently through business ownership or aggressive savings rates. You're not failing at the housing game. You're smart enough to see it's rigged and brave enough to refuse to play. That's not losing, that's winning.